My husband toasted to his patience at our 10th anniversary dinner. I realized he wasn't talking about our marriage. He was talking about waiting for his ex-girlfriend to get divorced. Before we continue this story, let us know which city or country you're watching from. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell so you won't miss more stories, and leave a like on the video. My husband, Mark, has always been the kind of man who plans everything. He plans our vacations 6 months in advance. He plans his career moves years down the line. I used to think his planning was romantic, a sign that he was committed to building a stable, perfect life with me. I thought I was the center of those plans. I was wrong. I was just the waiting room. It happened last Saturday at our 10th wedding anniversary dinner. We had rented out the private room of our favorite Italian restaurant. The room was filled with our closest friends and family. The lighting was soft, the wine was expensive, and I felt beautiful in a dress Mark had picked out for me. Mark had been drinking more than usual. He's usually a 1 glass of wine guy, but that night he was 3 scotches deep before the appetizers arrived. He stood up to give a speech, tapping his glass with a spoon. Everyone went quiet, smiling at us. I reached out and held his hand, expecting him to talk about the decade we'd spent building a home, raising our 2 daughters, and supporting each other. "To patience," Mark said, his voice slightly slurred but loud. He raised his glass high. "They say good things come to those who wait. Well, I've waited 10 long years. I played the game, I did the time, and finally, the finish line is in sight." The room clapped politely, but I felt a cold shiver go down my spine. Played the game? Did the time? It sounded like he was talking about a prison sentence, not a marriage. I looked at his best friend, Jason, who was sitting across from us. Jason wasn't clapping. He was looking down at his plate, his face pale. "What did you mean by that?" I asked Mark quietly as he sat down. He kissed my cheek, but his eyes weren't looking at me. They were glued to his phone, which was lighting up on the table. "Just a figure of speech, babe. Don't overanalyze it. You always overanalyze everything." But I couldn't stop analyzing it. Later that night, Mark passed out the second his head hit the pillow. He hadn't even taken off his dress shoes. I lay there in the dark, listening to his heavy breathing, replaying his toast in my head. The finish line is in sight. His phone buzzed on the nightstand. I have never looked through Mark's phone in 10 years. I trusted him completely. But the alcohol on his breath and the strange look on Jason's face made me reach for it. I knew his passcode. It was our wedding date. The text on the screen was from a number I didn't recognize. "She signed the papers today. It's officially over. You were right." My heart started hammering against my ribs. I opened the phone and clicked on the message. It was a text thread with Jason. I scrolled up. "Mark, any updates on Elena?" Jason. "She moved out yesterday. Todd is keeping the house. It's ugly, man." Mark. "Good. Ugly is good. She needs to be desperate." Jason. "You're sick, you know that? You have a wife. You have kids." Mark. "I have a placeholder, Jay. I've been biding my time since Elena married that loser. I knew it wouldn't last. I just needed a place to park my life until she was free again." I dropped the phone on the duvet. The world seemed to tilt sideways. Elena. I knew that name. She was Mark's high school sweetheart, the one that got away. He had told me about her on our second date. He said she was toxic, dramatic, and that he was glad to be with someone simple and safe like me. Simple. Safe. Placeholder. I picked up the phone again, my hands shaking so hard I could barely type. I went to his email. I searched Elena. Hundreds of emails popped up. He hadn't just been waiting. He had been watching. There were Google alerts set up for her name. There were emails to private investigators he had hired to track her husband's financial troubles. Then I found the folder labeled The Fund. Mark had been siphoning money from our joint savings account for 5 years. Small amounts at first, then larger ones. He wasn't spending it on gambling or cars. He was putting it into a separate account. I opened the bank statement attached to one of the emails. The account had over $150,000 in it. The beneficiary listed on the account wasn't me. It wasn't our daughters. It was the future Mrs. Mark Reynolds. He was saving up a nest egg to start his new life with her. He had funded his escape plan with the money I earned working double shifts at the hospital. I looked at my husband, snoring with his mouth open, oblivious to the fact that he had just destroyed my entire reality. I didn't scream. I didn't wake him up to fight. A cold, hard numbness settled over me. I got out of bed and went to the kitchen. I made a pot of coffee. Then I opened my laptop. I am a forensic accountant. Mark always forgot that. He called my job boring number crunching, but my job is literally finding hidden money and tracing paper trails. He thought he was smart hiding his tracks, but he was sloppy. By 6 a.m., I had downloaded every bank statement, every incriminating text, and every email. I printed them out. I made 3 copies. By 7 a.m., I had packed suitcases for me and the girls. I told them we were going on a surprise vacation to Grandma's house. They were excited, sleepy-eyed and giggling. I felt like I was dying inside, but I smiled for them. I left the divorce papers on the kitchen counter. I had printed them off the internet, just a generic form for now, but enough to make a point. On top of the papers, I placed the printout of his text to Jason. I have a placeholder. Then I did something petty. I took his fund. Since my name was still technically on the primary account he transferred from, and we were in a community property state, I transferred every single cent of that $150,000 into a trust fund for our daughters that required my signature to access. I left the house at 8:00 a.m. I didn't hear from Mark until noon. My phone blew up with calls. I let them go to voicemail. Then came the texts. Where are you? This isn't funny, Sarah. You stole my money. That's theft. I can explain. It's just a fantasy. It doesn't mean anything. I finally answered when he called at 4 p.m. I put him on speakerphone so my lawyer, who I had hired 2 hours ago, could hear. Sarah. He sounded panicked, not angry. Baby, please come home. You're misunderstanding everything. Elena is just an old friend. I was just trying to help her out because she's going through a hard time. I spoke to Elena, I said calmly. Silence on the other end. I called her this morning, Mark. I found her number in your contacts. We had a very long, very interesting conversation. You what? His voice cracked. She had no idea, Mark. She didn't know you were waiting for her. She didn't know you were saving money for her. In fact, she told me she hasn't thought about you in 10 years. She called you that creepy guy from high school who wouldn't take no for an answer. I heard a sharp intake of breath on the other end. She also told me that she's not getting divorced because she wants to be single. She's getting divorced because she met someone else. She's moving to London with her new fiancé next month. No, Mark whispered. That's a lie. Jason said she was alone. Jason lied to you because he thinks you're pathetic, I said. I saw the texts, Mark. Even your best friend thinks you're sick. I could hear him breathing fast and shallow. The grand plan, the 10 years of patience, the secret fund, it had all collapsed in seconds. I want a divorce, I said. And since I have proof of financial infidelity, hiding assets and emotional abuse, my lawyer says I'm going to get the house, full custody and child support. You're going to lose everything, Mark. You're not going to the finish line. You're going back to the start. I hung up. The next few months were a blur of lawyers and court dates. Mark tried everything. He sent flowers. He showed up at my parents' house crying. He told everyone I was having a mental breakdown and imagining things. But the evidence was undeniable. The emails, the future Mrs. Reynolds account, the texts. It was all there in black and white. At the final mediation meeting, Mark looked terrible. He had lost weight. He looked 10 years older. He tried to catch my eye across the table, mouthing, "I love you." I looked at him and felt nothing. Not hate, not love, just indifference. He was a stranger to me. The man I loved had never existed. He was just a character Mark played while he waited for his real life to start. We signed the papers. I got the house. I got the girls. I got to keep the $150,000 in the trust for their college. As I walked out of the courthouse, the sun was shining. I checked my phone. There was an email from Mark. Subject, please. I realize now that you were the best thing that ever happened to me. I was chasing a ghost. Please, Sarah, give me another chance. I'll spend the rest of my life making it up to you. I didn't delete it. I forwarded it to Elena, just like she asked me to. We had become strange sort of friends through this trauma. She wanted to add it to the restraining order file she was building against him. I got into my car and looked at my face in the rearview mirror. I looked tired, but I looked real. I wasn't a placeholder anymore. I wasn't a safe bet. I was the main character of my own life, and for the first time in 10 years, I didn't have to follow anyone else's plan. I started the engine and drove away, leaving Mark standing on the courthouse steps, waiting for a future that was never going to come.